The Financial Times lexicon defines the community manager as, quote, an executive in the company who acts as the ambassador of a company or brand on the web. The community manager builds and monitors multiple communities generated in blogs, forums, social networks, etc. She or he becomes the authorized voice of the company. Now, many community managers would question whether their organization actually treats them as executives or pays them commensurately. Nevertheless, it is a reasonable, if limited, definition of the role that is the subject of this short video for Seneca College's social media course, SMD 102. Session 9 of SMD 102 focuses on the practice of community management, an essential skill for anyone on the social media team of a company, government agency, or nonprofit. It's a role that has become more complex because it has become a social hub within companies, linking and networking across many organization functions. And frankly, it's a role that's not really about technical knowledge of the back end of social platforms. It's more about skills like being able to talk to people, tell stories, and interact. As I wrote in a blog post about 3 years ago, and forgive me the lack of humility in quoting myself, but I said then, social media are about interaction and relationship. A social media focused program cannot therefore fundamentally be about the creation of social objects. It has to have at its center a commitment to reciprocal exchange, which starts from 4 principles of dialogue introduced in William Isaac's book called Dialogue and the Art of Thinking Together. Those 4 principles are listening, suspending, respecting, then voicing. And indeed, those form the core of the skills that a community manager needs, I believe. Now, I still believe this to be the case, and in fact, I'm more convinced than ever that the effective management of social communities turns social platforms like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest into successful platforms for storytelling and for valuable engagement with target audiences. Let me repeat I'm more convinced than ever that the effective management of social communities turns social platforms like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest into potentially successful platforms for storytelling and valuable engagement with target audiences. The community manager is the guardian of the relationship between your company, agency, or nonprofit and its online audiences. The community manager is the caretaker of the reciprocal exchange that can happen on social platforms and that, if it does happen, will win customers, supporters, and advocates. Now, it's beyond the scope of this course to talk about storytelling. That will be covered in SMD 201 next term, a course I will also be developing and teaching. But community managers are also, in effect, storytellers. Their job is to create compelling and consistent stories that people find of value and hence want to come back to your social community again and again to hear more. A colleague of mine, Gary Goldhammer, likes to distinguish between stories and content this way. Stories win hearts, content just fills space. Stories transform us, content occupies us. People share stories, people dispose of content. The job of the community manager is to create short stories about a brand, an issue, or an idea that win hearts, transform audiences, and make people want to share those stories, even if it's just using 140 characters.